Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Luening, Horst Luening, and I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. Today, Tasting Whiskey the Right Way, episode 4. It's the last one, and the first, episode 1, has been about the glasses we use for tasting whiskey. The second one was about the mood you should be in to have the real experience in tasting whiskey. The third one was about tasting, really have whiskey in your glass, and this last one is now about dilution of whiskey. There are specialties on the market, like this Oban bottle from the Manager's Choice series. It's a young whiskey, about 9 years old, costs several hundred euros, pounds, dollars, whatever, and was specially selected by the distillery manager of Oban and close friends of him. And those specialties are always filled in cask strength, high ABV. In former times, hundreds of years ago, whiskey was distilled and then filled as it was into the cask, high strength. And typically the maturation period was quite short, typically the way from the hidden illegal still to the pub. That's all. So it was more than, it was always undiluted drinking, not tasting. So the result was a fast respiration of the alcohol in the cells and into your circular flow, and we got drunk very fast. Today we are more cautious about the production of whiskey, and we distill up to 65 to 70% ABV in the pot stills in Scotland. And if you have triple distillation, 3 stills after each other, then you're going up till 80% ABV. And if you have a column still, like in the US for the Kentucky Straight Bourbons or the industrialized whiskey and the blended whiskies in Scotland, then you go even higher than that too. And the legal limit is 94%, which is also the theoretical limit for water alcohol mixture. Yeah, azeotrope. Today, the industry is used to diluting the whiskey to 63.5 ABV before filling it into the cask. Why? Yes, in former times, casks were changed between companies which wanted to have different expressions of whiskey for the blending industry. And they said, well, this cask is 10 years old, was filled with 63.5% ABV, and I'd interchange it with another cask, the same age, was also filled by 63.5%, and then the evaporation from the cask during maturation will be the same, and we can interchange the cask without measuring the content of the cask and so on. So changing. The average will be, if you interchange enough casks, there will be an average. Today, close to none interchangements of casks are left over. Most of the blenders own the distilleries they need for the blends, and there are only a few big companies left over during a concentration process. There are 7 to 8 big companies worldwide, and they own the distilleries they need. And the independent cask brokers are an endangered species, and they are close to extinction. So the casks available on the market are scarce. Every year there is an evaporation through the walls, through the staves of the cask during the heating and the cooling of the whiskey. The whiskey expands very much during heating, and it contracts the same amount when it's becoming cold. And this drives the air combined with the alcohol vapors out of the cask when it expands and tears in again pure air without the alcohols. So the ABV is reducing from year to year due to this respiration of the cask. Each year the ABV is reducing by about 0.5%. There are several figures out on the market or in the public where they say, well, from 0.5% to 2.5%. Be careful. The ABV reduces by 0.5 to 1% every year, depending on the storage level the cask lies and the area close to the seashore or in the mountains. But 0.5 up to 1% loss of ABV is typical. But there's also water evaporating through the staves, and this brings additional liquid which is lost during maturation. And this loss of liquid, so alcohol and water, is up to 2.5% per year. So after 40 years of maturation, such a cask, we are close to 40%, from 63.5 down to whatever. So more than 50 years of maturation, the cask has to rest at a special place, not too hot in summer. So that the ABV will not go down that much. You can't sell a liquid from a cask with less than 40% ABV as a whiskey. Nevertheless, there is a dilution by the producers from 63.5% down to even 57 or 60% for high ABV bottles. I have a high ABV bottle here. It's a Farkas 105, and this bottle has 60% ABV. It's a big bottle, it's a liter bottle, and here you can see this 60% ABV. It's no cask strength, it's diluted to 60%. And why is there a 105 figure on this bottle? Well, the old proof system said 57% ABV, close to, some people say 57.1, others say 57.05, is 100 proof in the old imperial British alcohol measurement system. And 5 proof equals 3% ABV. So 57% ABV is 100 proof. Add 3% ABV to 60, as it's in this bottle, and you reach 105 ABV. How was this measured? They mixed it with gunpowder and put a light on it, and when it's burned with a high flame, a yellow flame, then it was proof or overproof, and it burned with a blue flame, it was underproof, and this was those 57%. So how to dilute? This open has 58.7% ABV, and here on those glasses, those professional glasses, you have marks on it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can fill it to a mark. So to the mark 1, and then you take your still water, like this one is a Strathmore. We came back from Scotland, had such a small bottle with us. It's a still water, and it's mineral free, no, not free, low minerals in it, like these granite stones where the water flows over in Scotland. There are also, if you can't get your fingers on such a scarce bottle, You can use those, they are called dead French waters like Evian, Vitel, Volvic or whatever. They are also close to mineral free, like deionized water or distilled water, they said in former times. And then you can either use a pipette, tear the water, go in the glass, or you can use the marks on the glass and add water to dilute the whiskey to the amount you would like to have. And as soon as you pour the water in the glass, you see those flow marks in it, those chords, or technically it's reflection anomalies. This is because alcohol and water isn't mixing very fast, so it takes quite a time, and during this time, wonderful aromas rise from the whiskey. So shortly after adding the water, you should immediately smell at the whiskey, because those aromas are the best you can get. And I added from 1 mark to 1.5 mark of water, so I went down from 60% ABV to 40 approximately. Alcohol is a neurotoxin, a nervous poison. And strong alcohol on your tongue, on your taste bud, will paralyze them. So you should stay below a certain limit, and this certain limit is your individual limit you have. If you're a beginner, you should go down, to 40%. And this might even be too strong for you. So going down to 35 might be okay also. But as soon as you're adding too much water, the whiskey is watered and you won't taste the good things in the whiskey. If the whiskey has less ABV than this high ABV or cask strength whiskey like 43 or 46%, which is quite normal for excellent or good whiskeys, unchill filtered whiskeys, then you should be careful during dilution. Then you might use a pipette. There are also some plastic on the market where you can add a few drops. So be careful. Don't follow those experts who tell you never dilute a whiskey. It's always completely watered down and you can't taste anything at all and you lose the taste. No, these problems, these physical problems, mixing water with alcohol, this results in an extraction of aromas. You always have to dilute high ABV whiskies to get the full potential out of your whiskey. And I, for myself, dilute every whiskey. A few years ago, I diluted every whiskey above 50% ABV. Today, I have risen this level a little bit for these 101 bourbons, and there are a few Scottish ones up to 51, 52%. So let's say above 52, 53, I always dilute my whiskey a little bit down to reach ABVs below 50%. And those whiskey below this magical limit, I never dilute, not because there won't be more aromas coming out of the whiskey, but to have a reproducible taste here in front of the camera between those bottles. And most of the connoisseurs won't dilute those whiskeys with 40, 43, 46%. And if I dilute a little bit more than they do, then the results of my tasting wouldn't be comparable to those on the other side of the lenses here in my camera. So to dilute a 50 to 50% is no good. Even for a high ABV, you might smell additional aromas, but you won't be satisfied after swallowing this whiskey. That is too weak. So thank you for watching. This is the last episode from the series Tasting Whiskey the Right Way. I'm happy you followed up to this fourth whiskey video, and stay tuned. There are more whiskey videos to come, and feel free to share this video with your friends, and please discuss this video with me on the newly opened forum. Thank you for watching.